For a while, we were trapped in an era of NBA basketball dominated by two franchises, the Golden State Warriors, and whatever franchise that LeBron James was on. The parity was non-existent in the league, and the predictability of how the season would end started to reach all-time highs. However, over the last few seasons, we've gotten new challengers in the fray. There have actually been legitimate competition for the teams at the top, and along with that, the awards races have actually been much more wide open lately too, with plenty of new faces taking home some hardware. For today's video, we'll be analyzing how the MVP race for the current season is going so far, and while there are definitely a few players seen by most as the heavy favorites at this point in time, it is the furthest thing from settled, and there are honestly a lot more players that deserve recognition that aren't really being acknowledged right now. We'll be going over the case for all of these players, along with what we need to see from them moving forward if they want to solidify themselves in this race. Before we start though, I want to thank PrizePicks for sponsoring this video. PrizePicks is the perfect service for all of us basketball fans here because when you're involved, it makes watching games every night so much more fun and engaging. Basically, it's an application that provides you with lines on all kinds of individual player props, such as points, rebounds, and assists, and you simply have to choose whether you believe they will record over the set amount in the line or under the set amount in the line. Make your selections, wager however much you want to, and if your picks hit, you can win some big money. For the picks I'm looking at making for today's slate of games, I'm thinking of going with Joel Embiid to score over 29.5 points, Dorian Finney-Smith to make over 1.5 threes, and Malik Monk to make over 2.5 threes. If this sounds at all intriguing to you, then go to the link in the description of this video to sign up today and use promo code REFERENCE to receive a 100% deposit match bonus up to $100. Once again, thank you to PrizePicks for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back into the topic at hand. For this conversation about the MVP race as we approach the midway point of the season, for the sake of organization, I'll be going through the candidates by tiers, but as you'll see as we continue, here it's not tiers in the traditional sense of best to worst. To start off, we'll begin with the players in the quote-unquote popular favorites tier, with Steph Curry of the Warriors being the first one up here. If you engage in a discussion about the award on social media, or listen to any national media outlets talk about it, Steph Curry will undoubtedly be the first name brought up or one of the first names brought up, hence why he's in the popular favorites tier. He's the leader of the team with the best record in the NBA, his impact goes far beyond his individual per-game numbers, and he's one of the most popular guys in the league off the court with a massive fan base, so it all makes sense. For one of the biggest reasons why he belongs in this conversation, look no further than how the Warriors perform with him on the court versus how they perform without him. With Curry on the court, the Warriors outscore opponents by 14.4 points per 100 possessions. With him out of the game, the team actually gets outscored by 2.5 points per 100 possessions. He's literally the only player on the Warriors where the numbers show that the team gets outscored with them on the bench, and that tells us that he is at the core of most of their success. Believe me, I know the whole quote-unquote gravity conversation can become a bit overblown when the Curry fanbase claims that everything that happens is because of Curry's gravity on the court, but there is some truth to it, and defenses do get so honed in on stopping him that the rest of the team gets to find success much easier, and when they let him up, Curry punishes them. Where Curry's case for the award takes a hit, though, is that his shooting numbers are pretty down from what we've come to expect from him, as he's shooting below 40% from 3 for the first time ever in a season where he played more than 5 games at least, and his field goal percentage is the lowest it's ever been as well. The Warriors as a team are much better all around, so his struggles shooting the ball sometimes can be successfully masked on quite a few occasions, but all in all, Curry is definitely firmly in this race. The next player in the tier of popular favorites we'll be discussing, who is definitely firmly in the MVP race, is Kevin Durant of the Nets. Durant is leading the league in scoring so far, averaging about 30 points per game, and he's casually been going off on a near nightly basis. There was a stretch for the Nets where they were sitting pretty at the top of the Eastern Conference standings in first place, which obviously boosts your odds in this specific race for the award, but that is no longer the case after the last few weeks. Over the last few games, the Nets have been seemingly just going through the motions, playing with very little motivation, and they've lost 5 of their last 7 games, including some losses to teams that they should have easily handled, like the undermanned Clippers and the even more heavily undermanned Trailblazers, who are missing their 4 best players. I get it, when you're a team built like the Nets, where the postseason is the ultimate goal, it can be kinda easy to just sleepwalk through the regular season, but at the same time, you can't sleepwalk your way to an MVP award. And while Durant's scoring has been consistent, he doesn't always dominate like an MVP should, which I think will hurt his case, especially if the Nets don't reclaim that number 1 seed. The next tier of players in the MVP race are the ones who I still see as favorites near the top of the rankings. They're just more so the unpopular favorites, meaning that they have a good case made for themselves, but don't get as much recognition for it. And the first one here is Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks. I'll be honest, if it weren't for voter fatigue after him winning the award twice already, and him just coming off of a finals MVP campaign, he would probably be talked about much more in this race, because there's a very real argument to be made for him to be leading this awards race so far. He's averaging about 28 points, 11 rebounds, and 6 assists per game. His defensive impact will once again earn him all-defense honors, and he's been keeping the Bucks in the hunt as one of the top seeds despite most of his best teammates missing significant time. Jrue Holiday has missed 10 games, Chris Middleton has missed 12 games, Brook Lopez has missed every game since the season opener, and Dante DiVincenzo has missed all but 4 games. When this team has had their best players all available to them, they've been damn near unbeatable, and in the second half of the season, when we get to see that from them more often, I foresee a run being made for them at that top seed, led by Giannis himself, which could help him pull away here. The next player in the quote-unquote unpopular favorites category of this race is Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets. He's the winner of this award from last season, and his production is incredibly reminiscent of what it was from then too, only now he's grabbing way more rebounds on top of it. Not only are they still missing Jamal Murray, but they're also missing Michael Porter Jr., who they lost early in the season too. So the fact that Jokic is doing everything in his power to keep the Nuggets afloat, currently sitting in 6th place in the West, is absolutely noteworthy. There are very few players that can single-handedly carry an offense like he can, and the fact that he still shoots an efficient 56% from the field and 36% from 3 with such a huge workload is flat out insane. What hurts his case is the fact that MVPs rarely come from lower-seeded teams, but while he may not be the favorite, he'll definitely get plenty of runner-up votes and be in the running for sure. The last tier in this race is what I call the outside onlookers tier, because they probably won't win the award, but it's absolutely impossible to leave them out of the conversation altogether, and the 3 players in this tier are LeBron James, Joel Embiid, and DeMar DeRozan. It may be true that the Lakers have been the most disappointing team overall of the season, but LeBron is still somehow managing to produce at an unheard of level, and he's almost single-handedly carrying them night to night at this point. He's been on a tear over his last 11 games, averaging 34 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists, and he's been playing a lot of center in that span too, demonstrating his willingness to do literally whatever he needs to do and embrace any role he needs to keep the Lakers afloat. Because of the struggles of the team overall, it's tough to put him higher in this race, but if the Lakers heat up in the second half of the season and make a run up the standings, it's not unrealistic at all to think LeBron could start to climb the ladder. As for Joel Embiid, he might be one of the fastest risers up the ranks of this awards race overall. The 76ers are on a 7-game win streak, Embiid is playing the best basketball of his career in that stretch, and he has the Sixers just 2 games back of the 2-seeded Brooklyn Nets, despite all of the distractions around the franchise. Without Ben Simmons there's a glaring hole in the roster that won't be filled likely until he's traded, and yet Embiid has taken his game to another level lately to make sure they stay stay in the hunt until those reinforcements come. Joel missed a stretch of games because of COVID earlier in the year, and the team struggled mightily without him. But with him in the lineup, the Sixers have won games at the pace of a 59-win team if it was stretched out over the full 82-game season. He might not be a front-runner at the moment, but the Sixers have a chance to make a big run down the stretch if they make a big move before the trade deadline. So you never know, and he obviously belongs here if that happens. And lastly, the fact that DeMar DeRozan is even deserving of a shout for a topic like this is a massive win for Bulls fans everywhere who were told that signing DeRozan in the offseason was a bad move. The Bulls are the 1 seed in the East right now, and DeRozan has been as clutch of a player as it gets, closing games time after time for them, and even making a few game-winning buzzer beaters to add to his resume as well. He's been playing the best basketball of his career, arguably, so even though he isn't someone that would lead the MVP race with the production of a winner, he'll definitely get a few runner-up votes when the time comes to get that vote in. All in all, I just discussed 7 players that all have a reasonable case to be made for them to be in the running for the MVP. There is so much talent playing at a high level this season, and the MVP award is more wide open than it's been in years. I will be releasing my mid-season awards picks very soon in a video, so I won't tell you who my pick is at the moment, but if you want to see that, then stay tuned in the coming days. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below who you think has the best case for the MVP award at this point in time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.